I'm Helen. I head up our customer experience team. And I think I say this every time, but this is one of my favorite moments because I really love bringing our community together. So yeah, again, thank you for being here, either live or listening in. We really appreciate it. Stephen, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Steven. I'm with the customer experience team here at Cadence. I've been here for almost 4 years, and yeah, we really want to try to bring more value and build a community here. So thanks for joining, and thanks Perry for joining us as well. And there's a lot of things that we were talking about yesterday on our
Oh
just
yeah.
previous chat that I'm excited for our some of the clients that I've even seen join here today.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'll go next then. So yeah, Perry Tim's HR professional for 23 years now. But I'm probably a slightly rare breed in that I've done a fair bit of work within the FM and CRE and office space and so on, dating back about 10 plus years. So my real interest is how organizations are designed, and my ultimate mission, just saying that I'm not just a job title, is that I want to create workplaces where people flourish. So, the whole sense of it is, can we get rid of all the fluff and guff and the crap and just get people to do more straight line, brilliant pieces of work, find out who they are, what they're here to do. And I think the world will be a whole better place. So that's my kind of mission in the world.
Love that. And I think one of the reasons we connected so quickly, actually, Perry, is because for Cadence, it's one of our key pillars. Human flourishing is
Yeah.
is why we're all here. This team is quite a missional team. And so for us, we think we can make work better. We think hybrid make work better. We think flexibility makes work better for people. And so we really are missional about bringing that to the world at scale.
Nice. Nice.
So love that. That's a big part of what you do
Yeah.
and what you're doing too.
Good. Good.
So this one is focused on energizing hybrid, and I know energy is
Yeah.
a big value of yours, so we wanted to put that in. So yeah, energizing hybrid with data and employee feedback. We wanted to start with you and what you're doing, and yeah, some of the things that you are working on at the moment. Loved hearing about that this week, so I'm sure the folks joining will love to hear that. And then, as always with these calls, please start putting your questions immediately into the chat, like whatever it is, dump it in the chat as we go through. We don't want to just wait to the end. We'll take questions as we go because we want to keep this interactive. And then Stephen is going to do a demo of a few features that we would love you guys to be using more. We're quite excited about our AI features these days, plus events, surveys, insights plus. So we'll get into all of that towards the end of the call, and we'll be together roughly 40 minutes total. So not hopefully too long. So yeah, Perry, why don't we start with you? And how did you want to? Do you want to start, Perry, with it, just to chat through some stuff? Do you want to slide immediately? How do you want to?
I reckon if you put that slide up, it will spin me into all
Yeah.
sorts of other areas. But whilst you're loading the slide, just for those of who have not come across my work before, I'm dealing at the very sort of progressive edge of what HR practice is all about. So I am not the employment law regulatory type of individual. I'm looking at what the future is. I also run a 100% remote outfit. I kind of get how you do things, not in the same proximity. And I've been a kind of hybrid worker since the late 90s with absolutely terrible technology. So I bear all those kind of memories and so on. So I think the kind of tech we've got now that gets us to a key thing that I think is part of this choice is much more accessible and better. Yeah. So let me talk through this diagrammatic representation, shall I, Helen? So I would say that I've never seen people as busy in the world of work as they are now. And some of that is down to intensity and uncertainty in things like the markets, that people are sort of having to work harder to get work done, right? Because there are so many complexities and layers and twists and turns in it all, right? So I think straight lines don't exist as much anymore. But I also think, and this is what this diagram is trying to represent, we're not just running a business and then we've got a transformation program on the side that might talk to us about technology, about workplace, about geographies, about business models, or anything like that. It talks to the fact that actually we're kind of building the future as we're going. It isn't a parallel episode that at a point in time, most people put a pin in 2030. All of a sudden, 2030 drops on, the old organization erases, and then you're in this new, kind of fancy Dan organ. No, It just doesn't work like that. You're pushing and pulling and what I call oscillating between your future modality and your legacy or current modality. And that's why I think there's a lot of work going on, because we're running two organizations now. And that means the tech you use, the systems you operate, both in a technological and also sort of procedural sense, the customer demands, the colleague demands, and the place and the where that you do the work that you do. I think we're still calibrating a lot of that. So that's why I put this together, to show us that in that little intersectional bit between legacy org and future org, that's where both exist at the same time, because we're kind of coding it and releasing it and being it, as well as looking over the hill to what's next and what will that lead to, and what's even beyond that. Not forgetting we've got a legacy organization as well. So we've got to kind of keep the lights on and the wheels going, and the skills and capabilities that we've got in that legacy organization helping us deliver. And so, yeah, that's what this is trying to represent. The W. Edwards Deming quote there, that a business that survives is a business that's got its eye on the future. And it isn't just kind of reacting to markets. It is thinking, who are we? What could we become? Is that best? And how do we kind of shape ourselves to deliver that? And the people, tech, and place kind of triage thing is exactly where I think people are spending lots of time and need a lot of help. Hence the topic of this about data and analysis and choice and rhythm and, pardon the pun, cadence.
Awesome, thank you. I think the thing that struck me about this was that we have so many customers who are feeling behind all the time. I mean, we're all feeling behind all the time right now, right? Like with AI, it's like, oh gosh, I'm not ahead. I'm just not doing it right. And what we often find is that, those of us on the front line who are there cranking out the work, perhaps are feeling behind because we're not sure if we're still doing the thing that we were asked to do, like what feels like 2 minutes ago. Things are changing so quickly. So that communication of this kind of strategy, future org, that business model, down to those of us that then, how do organizations get that balance right?
And it is a balance. You're absolutely right. It is literally a kind of an ongoing exchange of information opportunities, test and learn, feedback loops, and so on. What I like about the fact that we've got so much to do is that it doesn't fit neatly in a transformation program delivered by a load of transformation, either consultants or colleagues, and then dropped on people. It has to be an encapsulating team effort. Everybody is building this future. Everybody is tuning into iterations, adaptations, and how to drive this thing forward. So I can remember probably about a decade ago, lots of research was telling us that we knew more about our customers outside the organization than we did about our own colleagues, and that was a complete misnomer, that we should know a lot about our colleagues and that they should have an opportunity to input to things like business strategy wherever they are. And I think what we've got to do is now deal with the fact that everything's shorter cycles. Like you said, we feel behind because the cycle of releasing something and mastering it isn't years, it isn't even months, it's sometimes not even weeks, it's often days, where we've got to get to grips with a new thing, new functionality, new opportunity, whatever it is. Now, we can't do that in a program, because by the time you scope the program, it's all changed anyway. So the whole of the work that you do is a program. So therefore, we need everybody to play a part in it. We need them to spot opportunities where we can improve the colleague experience, where we can get more value out of customer interactions, because they've given us a hint of what they really want, and we know how to mobilize that inside the machine to get it put together, to get it out there quickly. So I think that's the essence, I think, of what this is trying to represent. Far from it being overwhelming, we are more active in it. We are more participative in it. We are shaping it more. We're not just being told what to do or imposed upon. And I think that's where there's a lot of tension, where people are trying to impose transformation, then they wonder why it doesn't work. The Duolingo CEO who said we're going big time AI, and then everybody rebelled against it. That's telling you how out of touch sometimes the leadership of this kind of work is, and that it needs to be a much more distributed and participative effort.
And just to bring it down then to future ways of working, hybrid, whatever. Organizations have a different terminology for this, but we loved your, and it's here on the right, concept of capability pools, resident experts. This is extremely relevant for certainly our team, the customer experience team. We're trying to help our customers build these, these advocates within their organizations that aren't just talking about Kadence, right? They're talking about how the tool and the way that we're encouraging people to work benefits them in their day, and it benefits, their lives, right? Their week, the rhythm of them working. So can you talk a bit about those two concepts?
Definitely. So what I'm trying to do is get away from division and vertical that sets in the traditional organization design, where you have marketing and you have operations and you have finance and so on, because by nature they're divisive, right? They're dealing with their own funnels and sort of lanes. And what I'm trying to get is groups of people who've got certain capabilities, like analysts, designers, researchers, scientists, whatever it is, to operate in that kind of pool, so that they've got professional and I suppose you'd almost say like guild-like attachment to their craft and what they do, but they're deployable depending on the problem you're trying to solve, the solution you're trying to create, the new thing you want to explore. So they're much more fluid. Now, this operates a lot in big pharma. Big pharma have deconstructed a lot of their verticals into larger pools of people who can then be deployable to drug research, to new markets, to whatever it might be. And so they find themselves much more versatile in the way they're deployed. Now, the knock-on effect for the workplace for me is, where do they go? Where are they hanging out normally? Where do they go when that work needs to be done? Now in pharma, it's like a lab, or it's a big massive sort of warehouse type thing where they're doing all sorts of scoping and so on. So that to me talks about a responsive organizational environment, right? It creates a multiple set of scenarios for people who can go to the place that's most conducive to the work they're doing. And that might be like, wow, how can we design for that? We kind of know this, because the space is where people get their heads together, where they need a heads up, or where they need their heads down. And if we just use those three monikers, we can design spaces that are adaptable, that those people, when they come together, build connections to resident experts who they drop in for a certain period of time, who come and live with them for a little while, and then they go back to wherever it is that they're doing the majority of their work. So it's that kind of thing that both excites me about the possibilities, and I think is absolutely where things are going to go, because of running this oscillating sense of legacy and future. The environment they're in needs to take account of, do we need stability and calmness and so on? If that's the case, there's a space for that. Are we creative? Are we pioneering? The space helps with that, and the data you get from it then helps you understand how to resource it, how to make sure it's accessible and bookable and all those kind of things.
So if you, like, for the customers who listen to this, if they don't have any capability pools or resident experts, what's like step one, you think? Like, I guess they already have the buy-in. I think most customers know where they want to go. It's just, and they've had, if they're buying Kadence, that's part of the change that they're trying to make. But like, where do they go, like, from there? Like, what would you say step one's like?
Super question. Love it. Yeah, because let's take a very real and hot issue, right? We've still got people doing that everybody back to the office thing, which was bucking the trend on flexible working prior to COVID anyway. And then you've got other people who are saying, right, we've got our rhythm. It's Monday and Friday, ghost town. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, good luck if you can fight and find a desk and whatever. It's almost like, that's so crude. So I know your system helps with data and all sorts of other things, right? But I think what you need is some people who can be detached from their normal work to spend a bit of time going, what do we really need from the space we have and how we deal with a rhythm and a flow? And they can work out creatively amongst them how to do that. So you'd create a little capability pool on people who are just interested enough to solve that problem, Stephen. So that's where I'd sort of go with that. And then that gives you a chance to go, well, that worked really well. Where else can we put these people together to solve problems like this that we've got with customers or whatever it might be? So you start by just getting these people very mission-led and very articulately sort of set up to operate in that kind of environment, see what the results are, and then think, where else Could we apply that? And I think gradually you'll start to dismantle some of the barriers and the boundaries and the obstacles and even the mental models that people have. So whether you call them tiger teams or whether you set up a skunk works or whatever, this stuff's been done before, but we've done it episodically. Now I think we need to do it all the time. So that's how I'd start, is by finding something that's really helpful to test that, get people to do it, get all the feedback from it, get all the data from it, get all the environmental stuff from it, and say, where else and how else could we do this?
Yeah, I have a customer they're starting, like, they're making change what they want to see that's starting to happen in like one office, and now they have 20 offices though, where they would love to have that same, like the same successes that they're seeing in the one passed along.
Yeah, nice.
That's where they're starting to struggle is, I guess, do you need to get like local buy-in, or for each building, you can imagine that like being its own little resident pool of experts where you get people that are
I love that, you see, because you're talking then to what we really mean when we talk about personalization. I think people still think personalization is indulgent on me as an individual. It's not. It's a workplace and work experience that you feel is good enough for you to do all the things you want to do, and perhaps more you didn't even think possible, right? I think that's when we talk about personalization, that's the kind of stuff we want. It's not, high performing operatic diva stuff with roses in the dressing room and all that kind of stuff, right? It's not that kind of indulgence. It is literally, what's the best environment for me to do certain things in a certain way? That's the personalization I think this stuff needs to talk to, because we get very hooked on, well, if we give them that, we're going to give them everything and they'll want the moon on a stick. It's like, I don't think you've ever given them that much that you need to worry about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example actually where I think there's a criminal waste, right, in corporate real estate, and we get vexed by this. We get vexed by the fact that maybe on a Monday and Friday it's ghost town, so we've only got 3 days of good occupancy. The weekend, we always had 2 days of no occupancy anyway, right? So now we've got 4. But actually, that 4 could give us more flexibility on what do we do with that facility whilst it's underused or even empty. Whereas the weekend was a bit tough because nobody wanted to go there. But if you've got space, you could do all sorts of things with that space now that you've got more of it potentially to use. So that's the kind of stuff that you'd need to throw people at, because you couldn't do that in a corporate program. You'd have to do experimental test and learning type things. And I'm sure at one point the Natural History Museum didn't host award ceremonies in its main foyer, but it does now.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great example. I think
yeah, I'm just seeing,
if I was going to pull out anything for my customers, it's like, find the people who have a passion about this, maybe like your stars, and you want you want to highlight that, and then build it sounds like you want to build a community around them, right? Like where you give them the resources to go be free and find out what people really need, right?
That's it. Definitely.
That cross team input, right? So like we talk about, a hybrid task force. If you've got representation from your people or HR team, from your real estate team, facilities, but also, the departments themselves, because we're building for everyone. So surely that group of everyone needs somebody representing them. And I think that so often we find it's like, oh, I need, my team needs to figure out hybrid. I take ownership of it as the real estate team or the HR team, but actually, like, this is how we all work. So one thing's not going to work for everyone.
No, totally agree. And I think when we look at things like community spaces and open spaces in our civic life, right, you get a parks department. They don't dictate how you use that park. They just create certain facilities for it, right? And if you want something to happen specifically for that park, guess what? They put a team together who'll turn it into a venue for a winter fair. Do you know what I mean? It's that you're talking exactly to that participation we see in life, but we don't see enough of it in the workplace.
I'm just seeing that the comment on the chat there about Joanna. I don't know if you can share with us. Do you mean a remote, like an out of town office, or maybe if you can just help us understand what you mean by remote office? But you struggle with any occupancy. Neighbours are moving in next week and will mandate 4 days a week, and we'll see if this inspires more attendance. Yeah, okay, downtown.
Right. Yeah, that's increasingly becoming a thing, isn't it? Like your location is now becoming either a draw or a real challenge because of the fact that people have rewired habits and preferences and so on. So there is still something which is like, what gets people there? What would help them come there more? So I know of a couple of examples, and there's a downtown office that I've been to in Michigan, super child friendly, super pet friendly, so people can bring child or pet in, right, and do work, and it's absolutely in the flow. So just a little tiny thing like that, a room and the ability for somebody to look after the dogs, tiny little cost, right? That
Do they
made a
put the
massive
dogs and the
difference.
kids in the same room and just sort of
Not often.
see how they get
No.
on?
That's one of the rules of not
So someone
making
with two
films,
children.
isn't it? Don't work with children and animals, right? They say, yeah. So
Well,
they've got their own space for them, yeah. So that was an adjustment that came from people. They worked out how they could resource it. So there's a tiny little contribution to it. The employer doesn't pay for the lot, but it's made a difference in people saying, yeah, I'll come in because we've got this facility. So sometimes
well,
it's the unexpected things that make massive differences to people.
yeah, I think well, we had talked yesterday on our previous call just about how you're really interested in like the cage time, like the time that people are in meetings, and like that's
Oh
we've
God.
seen that successful in our own little Utah office here. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we started blocking out our calendars on our in-office
Yeah.
days where it's more of
Yeah.
like let's take meetings as we need to versus leaving our
Yeah.
calendar open, because the worst
Yeah.
thing was when we would all head in but be in like phone booths all day.
Oh, I know.
There wasn't any advantage to us going in the office those days when we're just all on our own anyways,
No.
right? We could just work from home. So our team
Yeah.
intentionally blocked out like windows of
Yeah.
time where we really
Love
can
it.
rub shoulders, right? And get
Love
that
it. That's what you
osmosis.
need to do. Yeah, that's literally like going to a festival, but then putting the album on in your headphones. It's like, oh, duh, I'm on the festival. I just want to be in the festival. So I think exactly to the point that you say, which is that we need to think differently about how we bend time towards us and away from us when it suits, right? So I do know of some people I'm working with in terms of client side that what they do is when they come together, that's absolutely it. They are not allowed to be booked into anything because they want to do the thinking stuff, the creative stuff, and so they've made a really conscious effort to have those anchor days without any interference at all. People try and book them. No, it doesn't happen. So I think you have to honor that because I think you have to make that a habit. And I think you have to give your brain a rest from constant frazzle to a little bit of spaciousness, a little bit of drifting. I don't want to sound all woo woo, but I do a little tiny bit of meditation now, and it's massively helped me with creativity. And I don't mean sitting in an on position and going all zen, right? I'm just emptying my head. I'm just not looking at my phone for about 2 hours. And I am just literally letting myself think. And guess what comes out of it? Incredible stuff. So I don't do it regularly. I do it, what, about once every couple of weeks when I feel like I've just got too much mush in there. So I think there's something about discovering artful things, like what it means to spend time with people without an agenda.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like it's almost like you need it. Like, well, some of the most beneficial times we've had cross department between our sales and our CX team is when we're in the office and we don't have the agenda, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden we're talking about the big picture items that like we really want
Yeah.
to focus. But if you sat us down and said, "Hey, focus on this and do this," then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the true
Yeah.
osmosis wouldn't happen. So it's almost like you need time,
Yeah.
even as a teams, to meditate and
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
have an agenda, right? Like pop in
So
and
true.
have that connection time where you can really build connection and really
Yeah.
think about what's really going on.
And that is part of Peter Senge's learning organization concept from like 15, 20, well, more than 20 years ago, where he said like team learning is a part of being a learning organization. So you come together as a team and go, what do you know? What do I know? What can I share? What can we do? And of course, we're all doing that sparring with our AIs now. But I almost find there's no point in just me and AI knowing what's going on. I want to share it with the team and go, what do you think to this? Where could this go? How could it be? So we've doubled down on almost like conceptualizing stuff and seeing what sticks and where it goes. And the energy and the excitement that comes through, which is the topic of this, is phenomenally useful because then you go, okay, how do we put that in the stack? What do we drop? What are we committed to? So we do then get into the regulatory side of things so that we don't overwhelm ourselves, right? But I love that because you only do that when you let yourself be a bit free and liberated. And then it comes into being that's got impact. We want to do more of that. World Economic Forum says it time and again. One of the key capabilities we need in the future, because machines won't do it, imagination. Machines can't do it. They can't be
Yeah.
imaginative. They can only deal with what they've got.
It sounds like also like from what you just said, I'm also feeling like or like oversharing, like
Mm,
oversharing individually as a team, because like
mhm,
we all can be so siloed in our own worlds and working our own things,
mhm,
but unless we share or try to intentionally overshare what
mm,
we're working on, then we won't ever have that
mhm,
cross benefit through the
mm.
team, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I know, like just personally, like we have a channel where like I intentionally try to overshare everything that was happening, and then all of a sudden, like the help from the rest of the team really starts popping in because they can see everything, right? So yeah, maybe I had just drawn that from you because you said, hey, like I've been working on the AI, but I want to share it with everybody. Like it's like we don't mostly intentionally overshare everything we're working on.
And
Sorry,
I'm about to contradict myself here because I was just talking about hybrid task forces and how we make sure that we get representation from all departments. But I am also very aware, like what we're talking about requires leadership. It requires intentionality. It requires like, senior leaders to say, okay, we're going to be brave here and we're going to do things a little differently. I mean, it's not that different, right? You are starting to see more CEOs come out and say like, this stuff is madness. Why would we send people into the office 4 days a week? Or 5 or 3, but maybe we want to give the people some flexibility and figure out what works with guardrails. Brian Elliott talks about those, guardrails. Tell people what you want them to do and why, and then get them to respond.
They're helpful. I agree, because you don't create confusion that way. You've got real clarity about a sort of red line that you don't want people to cross, but create enough bandwidth behind that red line. And there's a lot that people can do. I often think that leaders miss a trick when they don't turn it around and say to the organization of whatever size and denomination, what do you want us to lead on? Because they just pick it all and they just push it at you. But if you ask people, what do you want us to lead on? You'll get a really smart list of things that are important to them. But we don't do that. We might do it through the engagement survey, but guess what we're trying to do with the engagement survey? Just keep it like flat and get rid of stuff that they talk about in the survey as problematic, right? That's not leading, that's just fixing things, right? Leading. What do you want? Do you want more visionary? Do you want more thinking space like Stephen talked about? Do you want more of that participation like you just talked about? It's not minutiae car park rota stuff here. It's like, what is, and I'm going to use it again, what's our cadence? What's our destination? What's our essence? And what do you want us to lead on that's going to help you get more of that? And I think that's a much more sophisticated conversation because then the other things trickle through from it.
And yeah, the takeaways for our clients and even for our team on the call, these resident experts, the buy-in from leadership to make sure this is important, right? Like to give people like to not like because you had said that you can do analytics on the cage time pretty easily, like when people are in meetings. That's easy to see, but you're really interested in seeing like what happens when people start rubbing shoulder in the non-cage time. And so it's like how do you encourage that, like, or get
totally that, right? So I love that because what you get is the numbers and then you get the stories, and then you can bring those two things together. What do the numbers and the stories tell us about how people feel, about what productivity looks like, about where learning can happen, how more innovative can we be? So you are literally combining numbers and words, as in story. One's got huge emotive and the other's got huge logic. I mean, that is the yin yang that we're trying to get here. So bring them together, right? So I'm sure your developers would say, yeah, we do that because we have user stories, and then we do all this coding using numbers and schemas and stuff. So yeah, we just need to do that in the analog world. In the real world, where people combine numbers and stories. That's it. Now I've worked with a client who does that, and is starting to do more of that because guess what? The stories influence people, the numbers back it up and sustain it.
Absolutely. And that's such a good segue. Thank you that you teed us up perfectly to some of the things that we really want to show in the product, because, this session is about data plus feedback. And we're really moving Kadence towards like encouraging both of those two things, the qualitative and the quantitative. So we've got a few things we want to dig into. I wonder if given what you just said, what do you think, Stephen, if we so yeah, insights plus surveys, maybe we sort of start there.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like, you need to have some type of pulse. So getting better data, which we have our current insights, which gives you a pulse. But if you really want to dive in and get some deeper questions answered, like just know you can reach out to our CX team to kind of explore if Insights Plus is right for you and your organization. We can make custom dashboards based on the key metrics that you really want to provide. So if you're making reports and you're spending hours, like we have a team that can do that for you and really be a consultant to help you unlock. And another thing that's
just to give.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm super passionate about this one, so I always struggle not to jump in. just so that everybody on the call knows the sort of things that people are now asking us to dig into more deeply, like the questions that it seems like a lot of our customers are struggling with, they tend to be around space optimization. So like from the beginning of this conversation, all right, the space is not set right now to work for the way that we're seeing people use the office. What should it look like? Team collaboration. So okay, we can see that some teams are coming in like really regularly together, but others are not. Like, what's going on? So, data just gives you the start of the insight, and then you need to go away and ask some questions, but it allows you to start that conversation. And hybrid compliance. I don't love the title of that one, but I suppose it's the easiest way of summarizing what people are asking for us to do. And this is not about Big Brother, like who's not coming in on the days that we've been asking them to come in. It's more, I mean, this is more about patterns and something's not working because we can see the days people are not coming in. How do we fix that, change that? So yeah, would love to chat to folks more about that one because we're finding it to be being really meaningful in terms of what we're able to get back.
I see these as like threads in a tapestry, Helen, so that they are threaded through. And actually, it's like, but is that the pattern we want, right? To use that sort of metaphor. So it's almost like, well, how do we use this to create the right kind of pattern, our tartan or whatever it is? And I think the more we think about these as either threads or tiles in a mosaic and stop thinking about it as one big mushy thing or lots of little disconnected micro things, these have all got an impact on culture, belonging, retention, all sorts of things, right? So this has downstream ripples and has lots of multifaceted things we can do with it when you start to look at it like this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the start, we don't need to start with anything super complex. We just need to start getting curious, like, what's going on here? Why is something happening in this either part of the office or in this team, but it's not in others? And, let's figure out if we should really be worried about that. So yeah, and then as a result of some of this deeper work, deeper insight, we're really trying to then, just as you were talking about, pull out that more of that anecdotal opportunity, right? What do people feel? What do they think? And so that we have released a surveys feature. Stephen, do you want to pick this
so
up?
we have this little quick slide, but I also had pulled it up in the application just to show how easy it is. And I don't know if you didn't know this, probably, Helen, but I actually used to work for a survey company, I don't know, 15 years ago, where we'd send out these type of surveys, and the type of tools that we have right in the application, they're everything that you need to make a good survey, right? Like, you really want to, if you want to ask a rating, I guess and this is me just going back to my survey days, but you don't want to overwhelm people because there is survey fatigue. But asking a simple rating question and and getting a comment, because people usually just dump everything into the first comment field. So you can see here, I pulled up a survey as an admin. How was the last lunch and learn? Trying to really gather that feedback and not guide people to the things that you think you want answered, but be able to have an open pool, right? So right here, I added a rating, but just so you know, like in this application, in surveys, if you turn this on and you take advantage of it, you can also send it along with the announcements. You can see all the different types of questions you can ask if you did want to drill into something specific. I'm going to go ahead and just publish this for fun. So it says, please review your survey before continuing. Once published, it can't be edited, but I'll be able to share it with my audience. So now I've made the survey. So I either can send out the link just and email it out, or I can create an announcement that would announce it to who the audience is that I want to do this survey. So it leverages like the new gathering feedback part of the announcements. So sending out announcements, but also be able to get feedback right from the end users. Just so you know, that is hidden behind a feature flag. So if you don't want to take advantage of it, you could turn it off temporarily, but we do hope that you could take advantage of this and start getting a better pulse of, if you're not doing surveys, I would think that you want to at least be getting some type of survey at least every so often, right? That's probably a good advice, right? As far as workplace management, you want to get some type of pulse from your end users or your employees, your colleagues. So this is a great spot to do that.
I love that. And I once worked with a client who had very good engagement. And they said to me, oh, I don't want to go out with a survey because like it's so good. People are going to go, duh, it's not changed. Why are you asking me again? What we flipped it to was we put out a survey that said, if we were to survey you this year, what would you like to tell us about that may be different from what we've asked you before? And guess what? They didn't need to do the survey because they just got lovely feedback on the stuff that perhaps wasn't being asked and that was important to them and didn't get featured as regularly. So sometimes you can almost get people to do a bit of meta survey by not just kind of doing the same predictable survey stuff time and time again. Just get them to think differently. So I love that feature because that gives you the chance to do that, doesn't it? Get some really nice free text stuff and start to build something that at a period in time is really relevant to you.
Yeah. If you want to learn more, just go to the settings company, and you'll see that there's a learn more button that would take you to our help center to go everything in a lot of detail. We also had mentioned a lot of the reasons that people are going in, it's all the things that are about the non-cage time, right? Like I won't go in the office meetings all day, but the events, just knowing that we have this event functionality, I just want to make sure everyone on the call is aware. This is a separate add-on, but you can reach out to your CX team member to evaluate this functionality. But really, it helps give the end users, like the employees who are already coming into Kadence, to see who's coming in. This would also give them a little more metadata about what's going on in the office to help inform their decisions about, oh, it might be worth me coming in for the lunch and learn, or coming in for the I don't know, the yoga session that Helen's running, right? So just making things, I think the oversharing and making sure everyone's aware of everything that they could possibly take advantage of would help inform your employees, colleagues, like about the best places that they should be working each day, right?
And let's face it, corporate intranets are often where information goes to die. Because they're just not the focal point that they should have been, right? They're not the corporate town hall and all this. So the more you've got spaces like you just described, the more people go, when I want to influence the environment around me, that's where I go. That's where I connect, and that's what I look at, and so on. So I think people are really happy to do that, almost like a sort of a little collection of applications that help them get what they want about what's important to them at that time. And that's part of people experience. That's how you sort of say, this is how we're not just going to give you an intranet where it's all a load of mush. We're going to give you these discrete things that you can invoke when you need them. You rub the lamp and the genie comes out about Office Space, or you rub the lamp and the LMS pops up. It's that kind of thing. So the more we give people that kind of choice, the more I think they're like, my tech works for me.
That's awesome.
So again, almost as if you teed us up. So
Did I?
again, you did this is great. I just wanted to say that we are being described by others these days as the kind of modern intranet, because we're becoming this place where you can get information about what's going on and when and with who, right? And it's dynamic, it's timely, but it's not going to be a blast and everybody gets the same thing. So yeah. Perfect. So yeah, the last thing, just because of time, because we said 40-ish minutes, we're going to jump into AI.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that we have actually had clients like with quotes that said they started using Kadence as their homepage.
Nice.
To really get a pulse of what's happening in the office. Like they just link to the home. Kadence home. With the Kadence AI, we actually had just made an update. So there's the integration part, which if you don't have this integration done, like we do have a help page document on it, or reach out to CX at Kadence. Be happy to help make sure that you have this set up correctly. But what's been really successful for clients that do use Microsoft Teams is for them to push the Kadence app automatically. So it's just there for everybody for the adoption. They don't have, the end user doesn't have to install anything. It's just there. And when you push this and the integration's there, what they'd get is this Kadence chatbot. And right in the chatbot, it gives you a lot of passive value to Kadence, because I know a lot of people live in chat when you're using a chat tool. Like, I mean, half my day is spent in Slack, right? Just communicating with my teammates. So since people are already living here, and by the way, the chatbot is also Slack supported. I'm just showing Microsoft Teams right now. But yeah, right from here, you can see, and just based on time, I'm going to just pull up some prompts I already used. If you left this meeting and you never use the chatbot, just know you can ask the chatbot, how can you help me? And can you provide me with some example prompts I could use? And what I found really helpful about this prompt this morning is I didn't realize we just released an integration into our help guide, our help center. So you actually can get, like, you can actually get questions answered about how to do certain things in Kadence if you're an admin now, or you can see here, you even ask the guide, how do I invite guests to a room booking? You can see here, I asked, how do I restrict a desk? And this is more of an admin question, but since it's referencing our help center, it pulled up the help guide for me, which I actually found super duper helpful. But yeah, just based on time, just know that you can come in here and play around with it and chat with it and get to know how it works. I've seen clients use this to just to handle room bookings and like not only book the room, but invite a list of guests to that room booking. They said it was easier than them going in and, you know, using the Outlook because they're already in chat and they can just take care of it. So yeah, take a look at our AI here.
There's a use.
Sorry, one thing I'm going to say is we would just love you all to be communicating that this exists with end users, because we're finding that often our, you know, admin, the Kadence admin is using it a bit, right, themselves, but that perhaps not, you know, the wider end user. And we're just finding it really powerful. So if we can help with the comms, if anybody needs some messaging around how to articulate the value of Kadence AI, please let us know. We'd love to help with that.
I've got 2 use cases for you there. The first one is onboarding. When somebody new starts, like, how do they know how to book things and where to go for things and what the emergency procedures are and whatever? So I love it for onboarding. And the other one is for your contingent workers who don't come in all the time, or it's a first visit to that place. Because I go into client sites, I haven't got a chuffing clue where I'm going, what I'm doing. I don't want to keep bothering the same person to get me a pass to the toilet. But if I can go on this and say, how do I do this? Bang, it helps me out. And these are hygiene 101 things that people need, right? So don't think nobody wants to know, because they do. These are important things that sit at the base of everything else happening on top of it. So I love that. I love that it can be responsive enough and it can remember and it can learn with you and it can keep you fed, which is lovely.
And that just made me think, it's a little bit of a tangent, but if there are those items that you get asked about a lot, we actually can add those as little reference points on your floor plan. So yeah, if there's something like the person's getting asked about the supply closet or where the printers are, yeah, we can actually update your maps. Just you can also reach out to our CX team to ask about how to do that.
Nice. God,
awesome. Really conscious of time and just yeah, really appreciate you, Perry. Like, thank you for being here with us. I just, like, I want more of your brain. And that analogy, like, oh, it's blowing my mind. I love a good analogy. Going to a festival and then putting your headphones in, like,
listening to Spotify.
Yeah.
I love it. So thank you. Where can people find you if they wanted to reach out to you directly?
I'm a bit of a LinkedIn slut, so I'm on there. And if you want our organisation to look at some of the people side of things in org design, etc., we're pthr.co.uk. So Papa Tango Hotel Romeo, pthr.co.uk. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Brilliant. Well, thank you. And yeah, anybody that needs anything from the CX team, please let us know. We want to hear from you. So, but thanks for joining. Catch everybody.
Thanks a lot,
everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Thursday. See ya.
Bye. Thanks a lot. Ciao. Bye.